Rich bride laughed at the wedding singer, then froze when he started singing. It was the most expensive wedding of the year. The bride wore diamonds, the guests were millionaires, and everything looked perfect till the wedding singer walked in. He looked poor, out of place, and the bride laughed at him in front of everyone. But when he started singing, her smile vanished, her hands shook, and the whole room went silent. What he revealed with his song changed her life forever. No one saw it coming. Before we dive in, please support us by subscribe, like, and share for more with activating the notification bell. Thank you. Eleanor Whitmore was the definition of upper-class perfection, elegant, commanding, and born into wealth. Raised in the elite neighborhoods of Manhattan, she lived in a world where chauffeurs opened doors, stylists picked her outfits, and assistants handled the chaos of reality. At 27, she was the CEO of a luxury skincare brand handed down from her mother and the fiancé of Hudson Grayson, a fellow rich heir with political ambitions. The wedding was set to take place at a vineyard estate in Napa Valley. Theme: eternal gold. Gold-trimmed napkins. Golden centerpieces. Even her gown shimmered with fine gold thread embroidery. Every detail was meticulously planned except one: the entertainment. Hudson, wanting to surprise her, insisted on picking the wedding singer himself. "Just trust me," he smiled mysteriously. Eleanor raised an eyebrow. "He better not ruin my day." As the day approached, tabloids buzzed, socialites preened, and everyone wanted a seat at America's royal wedding. But beneath Eleanor's icy grace was something else: a habit of ridiculing those she deemed below her. Her makeup artist whispered about it. Her assistants cried silently in elevators. And now, the wedding singer who arrived on a bike with a torn gig bag was her next target. Jackson Reed hadn't sung at a wedding in years. Once he was a rising star on the verge of a record deal, but life had other plans. A car crash robbed him of his younger brother, and the trauma buried his passion under guilt and grief. Now, he played street corners and local diners, sometimes going days without food. He only agreed to perform because of a handwritten letter Hudson had sent him weeks ago. "You changed my life once. Now I ask you to change hers." Arriving at the estate, Jackson felt completely out of place. Ballets scoffed at his clothes. Wedding staff ignored his presence. One coordinator mistook him for the landscaper. When Eleanor laid eyes on him backstage, her laughter was loud enough to turn heads. "This can't be the entertainment. Is this a prank?" She chuckled, sipping vintage champagne. "Just watch," Hudson said quietly. Jackson tuned his guitar in a corner, mentally blocking out the humiliation. His hands trembled not from fear, but from something deeper. He had something to say through music, something Eleanor needed to hear as he stepped onto the stage. The crowd barely noticed him. Then the lights dimmed, and he began to sing. The first note was gentle, raw, and piercing through the luxury like a breath of cold mountain air. Jackson's voice carried across the marble halls, and people stopped mid-sentence. It wasn't a wedding song. It wasn't upbeat or rehearsed. It was personal. Deeply so. The lyrics spoke of a young girl raised in golden cages, isolated by glass walls of privilege. Of a girl who once ran barefoot in the rain, laughing freely until the world told her to grow up, dress up, shut up. It was a song only someone who knew Eleanor could write, because Jackson did know her. Years ago, Eleanor had been different. In her teens, she snuck out of her mansion to volunteer at a local music outreach program. Jackson had been a mentor, their boy from the wrong side of town with a gift and a mission. He remembered her laughter, her warmth. The real Eleanor, before society carved her into a statue, and she had remembered him until she buried the memory deep, where it couldn't affect her reputation. Now, the words unfolded her forgotten past. In front of hundreds, guests looked around, confused. Eleanor stood frozen, her lips trembling. "Do you remember the boy who sang in the dark?" He sang. Tears welled in her eyes. Yes, she did. The final chord hung in the air like thunder after lightning, silence, then whispers. People stared at Eleanor, confused, then curious. Someone was already Googling Jackson's name. Another was filming the moment on their phone, but the bride, she looked like a ghost. Hudson stepped forward, taking her hand. He was the one who gave me hope when I was lost. I thought, maybe you needed that again too. Eleanor walked off the stage, heels clacking against marble. In the powder room, she stared at herself in the mirror. The image that stared back felt like a stranger. Had she really become this cold, this proud? Flashbacks crashed over her nights, singing with Jackson at that tiny studio, hiding her tears from her parents, telling him, "One day I want to be free." When did she stop wanting that? Back in the hall, Jackson quietly packed his guitar, ready to leave. But just as he turned to go, he heard footsteps. Eleanor stood before him, her cheeks still streaked with tears. "I forgot who I was," she said softly. "And I never forgot you," he replied. Guests watched in disbelief as the bride embraced the singer. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some cheered. Some didn't understand, but Eleanor did something no one expected. She returned to the mic with trembling hands. Eleanor took the microphone. "I mocked someone today who once helped me find my voice. That boy singing on the corner of Harlem taught me to chase music, to chase freedom before I caged myself in gold." A hush fell over the audience. Jackson Reed deserves more than applause. He deserves to be heard, not just for today, but always. She turned to her groom, who gave her a warm nod. Then she turned back to Jackson. "Sing with me?" It was awkward at first, but beautiful. Their duet felt like time reversing. Notes floated. People cried. The bride and singer, once kids dreaming in a rundown studio, stole the spotlight together. The video went viral. Headlines exploded. Heiress bride reunites with street musician in Sparks. A movement wedding singer's song destroys. Bride's ego and heals her heart. Jackson was signed within a month. Eleanor stepped back from the corporate throne. She started a non-profit for young artists from underserved communities, with Jackson as the music director. Though she and Hudson agreed not to marry right away, they stayed close friends, grateful for what the moment had taught them all. Because sometimes the song that exposes your past gives you back your future.